I know I'm not the only one that's had a fantastic idea for my photography or creative life while singing in the shower, only to get really excited about it, jot it down in a notebook, and then never really take any action on it. And being a great photographer and being creative and following through with our ideas is so much more than just focal length or a certain setting on a camera, which is often spoken about on YouTube. Of course, I speak about those things too, but today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and talk about 5 things I've incorporated into my life that really help me stay consistent with photography, come up with new ideas and follow through with my projects rather than them just dying as an idea in a notebook. Yeah, the problem with this is kind of the location I want to take this photo from, but the bush cuts right in front of the building. But the further I come this way to cut the bush out, I'm way too close to the building now. This is about as far as I can get. And we lose that sweeping angle of the road, but that's not too bad actually. Just lean on this wall here. And try and make sure I get it straight. Yeah, that's quite nice. I like that. Right. So the first one is something I only started doing at the start of this year, but so far it's been so effective that I wanted to share it, and it's kind of the backbone of whatever I'm working on. Instead of having a giant long list of everything I want to achieve in photography or setting yearly goals, instead I give myself a block of 4 months and I set 3 to 4 very realistic photography goals that I want to get done in those 4 months. There's a book called The 12-Week Year, which is the exact same concept, apart from I added an extra month onto my time frame because, well, life, I guess. Life gets in the way. I thought I'd be a bit generous and add an extra month. The absolute key here is not to write down 20 or 30 things you want to achieve. You can still have that list elsewhere and maybe pick stuff from that list to go into your 3-4 month block of time, but you want to keep them down to a minimum, because what this does is it creates the urgency bias. Basically, it's enough time to complete those goals and have a really good crack at them without getting stressed, but also not so long that you just procrastinate and go through the year thinking it's fine, I'll get to it later, I'll do it another time, never really check in with what you're working on, and before you know it, it's December again and you're writing those goals down again on another sheet of paper. Obviously, some photography and creative goals don't need an end date and you can work on them indefinitely, but for those stuff that you really want to get done, you really want to achieve, you really want to tick off the task list, I find this 3 to 4 month window where you work on a couple of specific things to be so powerful. And also, goals have the tendency to make us feel a little bit rubbish when we don't achieve them, but I think that oftentimes we don't achieve them because there is no urgency to it, because we don't set a deadline. Should we call it a deadline? I don't like the word deadline, but that's essentially what it is. Let's get a bit more. Try and get an angle of it as well. Lovely. So real quick off the back of that last one, while I just take a little break from the sun here because it's absolutely roasting today, but the second thing I like to do to aid my photography and anything I'm working on is to break the big tasks down into small, manageable steps. There's research that shows that people that regularly write down their goals are up to 42% more likely to achieve them, which is fantastic. But just writing it down and just seeing the task as one task sometimes can be so daunting that we have absolutely no idea what steps to take, and that can then lead to inaction and the excitement kind of dwindling away. So breaking them down instead of just writing the tasks, I found at least, is so helpful. So let's say you want to start a photography project and you've never done a photography project before. You're looking at a blank canvas, you haven't scouted any locations, you don't know what you're going to base it around. So perhaps instead of just writing start a photography project, you write gather my favourite projects from other photographers, analyse them and find out which approaches they use. Decide if I want to incorporate one of those approaches in mine. Decide if I'm basing it around a particular location, a particular subject, a particular route. And before you know it, you can tick these off as little small wins, and you're skyrocketing forward with these small steps, and it helps the snowball effect occur, which is the common theme for most of these tips in this video, the snowball effect. I should say as well, for anybody that might be watching one of my videos for the first time, don't judge me on the postbox and phone box photos I'm taking today. It's not normally what I photograph. If you want to see a better idea of what I photograph, go ahead and watch my other videos after this one. That'd be fantastic, because views. But also in the next couple of tips I'll get into why exactly I'm photographing phone boxes and post boxes and a couple of other bits and bobs. For this next point, I can finally explain why I'm wandering around taking the most random photos of post boxes and phone boxes today. For a while, I've wanted a kind of a new mini side project, just something that's a bit of fun, that I don't have to take too seriously. It's nice and light-hearted, and I don't stress too much about like the locations and the story, I guess, behind the photos. And the other night I had a random idea to go around and photograph post boxes and phone boxes, I guess, in the national park that I live on the outskirts of. Definitely not the first person to do this in the world or anything like that. However, this is just me just doing something, even if it sucks, even if I don't like the photos today, even if I decide that as a mini project it's probably not a bit of me. I hate that saying, but I warrant saying it here. And this just start, even if it sucks mindset is something I've been trying to incorporate to all areas of my photography and creative life, whether it's a YouTube video idea, whether it's a new project, whether it's re-editing a bunch of old photos. I'm trying to just start and see where the results take me, rather than overthink the starting point and never do anything about it in the first place. Even if it's when I'm out with my camera and I'm struggling to compose a shot, instead of racking my brains about it for half an hour, I just start, just take a photo, and if it sucks, I can then look at that photo, tweak it, work on it until I get closer and closer to something I've liked. Maybe you've got, like I said, thousands of photos that you need to edit from a trip. Instead of sitting there thinking, what direction shall I go in? I'm worried, I don't know where to start, and being overwhelmed, just start, just edit a few of those photos, tweak them, come back to them in an hour or so, and if you don't like them, it's fine, you can go in a different direction. Okay, next point for this video is inspiration, and not just looking at inspiration, actually using inspiration, because we're surrounded by incredible photography in print, online, everywhere really. And the problem is, obviously, we can save posts, we can create mood boards, we can clip photos off the internet and put it in a document for inspiration, but how often do we actually take out fragments from it and use it in our own work instead of just looking at it? And I'm really guilty of this as well, by the way. So that's kind of why it's the point today, and it's why I've been very conscious of it in the last 6 months to a year. I think we as photographers, as creative people, however you would like to label us, needs to really act upon inspiration and try and, even better, try and take little seeds from all different inspiration sources and kind of merge them together to create something brand new. And to me, that's using inspiration for our work rather than just consuming it. Most recently, I've been really inspired by 6x6 film photography and the way in which the photographers using that format compose really simple images that are so beautiful within such a small frame, and that's really inspired me. And I have also, on the flip side of that, been really inspired by a couple of projects that were centered around one very specific subject. So for example, a photographer in Japan went around shooting vending machines for years, just vending machines, no other subject. Other stuff might appear in the frame, but the entire project was centered around vending machines. And I found that so inspiring that someone could take something so simple as a vending machine and create a whole project from it. So I kind of merged the 6x6, 1x1 photography and the one subject photography into this strange little exercise today of taking 1x1s of post boxes, a few phone boxes. Of course, we got a few other snaps along the way. So yeah, try and actively use stuff that inspire you for your photography instead of just looking at it and thinking, that's a cool way to do things, or that's a really nice photo. Try and flip it, try and recreate it, try and take a fragment of it and even try and create a brand new idea from it. And then you're onto a winner, and all these doors will come swinging open for you in terms of projects, photo ideas, places to shoot. And I think it's a combination of all of the tips in this video as well that amount together and give you a leap board to jump off of. A leap board? Okay, so lastly is the importance of allowing yourself to sway off course now and again when it comes to photography. And this is something I've always struggled with in the past, because I'm the guy that if I'm not working on something specific, or I don't feel like I'm using my time productively, I start to feel a bit guilty. But in the last year or so, just allowing myself that headspace to just sway off course and just do random stuff now and again, like today, has been an absolute lifeline, to be honest. And I've found that oftentimes you just come full circle again with way more motivation and a bit more of a spark for the thing that you were working on beforehand. At the end of the day, if we work on something for long enough continuously, we will eventually probably hit a bit of a wall. Very few people go from A to B and finish a full project or a full idea, or anything in life without losing a bit of enthusiasm, or even questioning whether you even really like the thing it was you're doing in the first place. The last time I hit a really big wall, I decided, you know what, I'm going to drop it for a month or so. I'm going to spend some time at the coast. I even spent a few days doing black and white photography only, and eventually it came full circle again, and I went back out and focused on my project, and I was refreshed, I was ready to go. It was like taking a little holiday, because taking a break doesn't always mean you have to stop doing what you love. I mean, I know there's times where you might need to put the camera down for good and just have a rest and sit by the pool, perhaps, if you've got a pool. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I like to think as swaying off course now and again as creative self-care, as silly as that may sound. I think all photographers, whether planned or not, should incorporate that into their year, or when you're feeling a bit fed up. I know this video has not really been about cameras or composition or focal length or photography tips in general. They're more lifestyle tips that you can apply to anything really, but they have honestly really helped me in my photography. So even if you only like one of them in this video and you give it a go, give it a go. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Hopefully we take more photos, and it probably won't be of phone boxes or post boxes.